Hari Om. Start with the prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Amadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We are doing the Panchadashi. Check whether this one is on. So we are doing the Panchadashi 7th chapter, which is Tattvadipa Prakaranam. That is the contentment, complete contentment of a Jivan Mukta. Because there is nothing he really wants it. He is full by himself, therefore he is contented. So it's contentment with the understanding that he is already full. And in the process, we are discussing, essentially Vidyaranya discussing about the knowledge about the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad mantra, and the whole chapter is the expansion or the interpretation of that mantra from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, from the chapter 4, Brahmana 4 and 12th mantra. Atmanam ched vijaniyat ayamasmi iti purushaha kimichan kasya kamaya sariram anusanjvared. So the whole commentary of that is the 7th chapter of this Panchadashi, and up to this he has covered what is Purushaha, what exactly is a Jiva, and the Jiva has to know Atmanam ched vijaniyat. He has to know his self, and the self that he knows has to recognize in the knowing of the self that I am, has to recognize the self in me is the self in all. Not only in the living beings, in the essence of everything, that is Sarva Adhishtanam, is the substratum or the Adhara of the whole universe itself. That is what Atmanam Ched Vijaniyat. That is to be known. It should be known because Aham Brahmasmi is the final knowledge, and in that process there is nothing more to know. Therefore, Kimachin Kasya Kamaya, what is there for him to know, need, because he has everything. That means he is Brahman. And I am Asmi iti Purushaha. I am this, I am. This is being pointed out as the totality, but I am Asmi iti. This I am. So what is this? This stands for any object. So essentially, Ishavasya Medagam Sarvam. Idam is this. And here the student will asking a question. You are saying that this stands for an objectification, whereas aham is the subject, which is aparotsham. Aparotsham is immediate and direct. So how are you using, or how the scripture using this, which is an objectified parotsham, for aparotsham? And that was the question. So that was what is raised in the sloka 21. Let's chant. Ayamitya parokshatvam, ayamitya parokshatvam, uchyate cheduchyadam, uchyate cheduchyadam, uchyate chetaduchyadam, swayam prakasha chaitanyam, swayam prakasha chaitanyam, aparoksham sadayata, aparoksham sadayataha. Together, ayamitya parokshatvam, uchyate chetaducyatam, swayam prakasha chaitanyam, aparoksham sadayataha. So even though it is being used in the scripture, I am this, iti, aparokshatvam, for the direct and immediate that I am, it is being used. If it is questions, you say how come it is used? If it is uchyate, chet, tat uchyatam, let that be so, because this is a teaching to a Purusha who has identifying himself, I am this. So he has to understand what this really stands for, because I am, this is the whole Brahmasmi, also this has to be pointed out initially, and Brahma Satyam and Jagan Mithya, and goes to you are that this Tattvamasi statement has to come. So it's a methodology of teaching itself, and therefore initially we use the word this, an objectification of the Brahman. As long as you don't settle there, because most of the problem is thinking that the Brahman is an object, and that's where we are looking for Brahman. I want to experience Brahman. I want to sit and meditate on Brahman. All these statements are reflections of the fact that Brahman is some kind of an object that I have to meditate on. So some people say, we have studied the scriptures and now we have to meditate. That means he has to study scriptures some more. Why? Because he wants to meditate and then recognize it is not something to meditate on, because aham jata paranjeyam akhandam khandate katham. This is in the Avadhuta Gita. Dattatreya says, you are trying to divide which is indivisible, that I am a meditator and this is to be meditated on. That means you are objectifying the Brahman, and that itself becomes a hurdle, but initially that is required. So you are still in the stages where you have to give up that also in the end. But initially he says, if we are using I am, uchyate chet, that uchatam, let it be, because that is a initial process are requiring before we say aham, and then I cannot say anything more, because no words can reach there after that. So Swayam Prakasha Chaitanyam Aparoksham Sadayataha. This Swayam Prakasha Chaitanyam, that is that which is self-illuminating, therefore self-conscious entity, and therefore it is Aparoksham. Therefore there is no other means of knowledge is required. It is immediate and evident, and that is therefore Sadayataha. So it's always there, and therefore it need not be then pointed out. So pointing is required until one discovers the truth, and that's what is being now explained using the 10th man story. Now few slokas are going to talk about the Paroksha and Aparoksha Jnanam. This is the evolution. So we study Tad Vijnanartham sa Gurum eva abhigachet. So you approach a teacher to study this knowledge. So this knowledge has to be studied as though the whole scripture is taught, and there it becomes a Paroksha Jnanam as though, and that Paroksha Jnanam has to become Aparoksha Jnanam by constant contemplation on the teaching itself. And that's what is going to be emphasized using the 10th man story. So let's, and before that he gives the classification of this in the sloka 22. Paroksham aparoksham cha, paroksham aparoksham cha, jnanam ajnanam ityadaha, jnanam ajnanam ityadaha. Nitya paroksha rupepi, nitya paroksha rupepi, dvayam syad dasame yatha, dvayam syad dasame yatha. So here he is giving an explanation. It says paroksham aparoksham cha. So there is two types of knowledge. Even in self-knowledge also, it is differentiated first as a paroksham, indirect knowledge, and aparoksham, immediate and direct knowledge. So paroksham aparoksham cha, jnanam ajnanam iti ityadaha. So jnanam and ajnanam. So there are pairs of this. So paroksha jnanam, aparoksha jnanam, and jnanam and ajnanam. In fact, Vijnanam and Jnanam also is there. Vijnanam means recognition that I am the self, and Jnanam is the Paroksha Jnanam. So same thing as Vijnanam and Jnanam also being done in the 7th chapter of Gita. It's Jnana Vijnana Yogam. So Nitya Paroksha Rupena Dvayasyad Dashame Yadha. So Ityadaha. So this pairs of iti adaha dvayam. These two pairs of these things are always there, and in that, but nitya aparoksha rupepi, even though it is nityam, it is eternal, and aparoksham, it is immediate and direct, rupepi, dvayam syad dasameyatha. There are paroksha and aparoksha knowledge, jnanam and ajnanam, these pairs are still there, and it is like dasame yatha, like the 10th man story. So now he is going to illustrate with the 10th man. So he is now differentiating when you say this is jnanam and ajnanam. So from the point of pure Satchidananda, there is no jnanam, no ajnanam, no dvandvas of the at all. Sitam, Ushnam, Sukham, Dukkham, these are all dvandvas. But you go beyond the dvandvas. Dvandva means pairs of opposites. And here paroksham, aparoksham, jnanam, ajnanam, and you can include all other dvandvas. This is Sukham and the Sitam, Ushnam, Sukham, Dukkham, and so on and so forth, and which Krishna points out in the Gita. Even though it is nityam aparoksham rupepi dvayam syad dasami. Like the 10th man story, there are two pairs of these things. Now, how is this 10th man story, and what are the two things? What is the paroksha jnanam and what is aparoksha jnanam? All that going to be pointed out now in the next few slokas. We'll do sloka 23. Navasankhya hruta jnanaha Navasankhya hruta jnanaha Dasamo vibhramattada Dashamo vibhramattada Navetti dasamosmiti Navetti dasamosmiti Vichamano pitanruva Vichamano pitannava. So together, Navasankhya hruta jnanaha Dasamo vibhramattada Navetti dasamosmiti Vichamano pitannava. So, let's do the word meaning. Dashamaha is 10th man. Navasankhya hruta jnanaha. So, Navasankhya hrutaha jnanaha. So, the one who is counting the 9, still ignorant of the 10th man. Navasankhya hrutaha. So, the one who is counting, so everyone is taking count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and therefore when they are counting, so the 10th man is there, and but at the same time it's not there. He says there is no 10th man there. So tada vichamana api. So even while one seeing oneself and looking at the 9 people in front and not able to count himself that I am the 10th person, and at the same time looking all over the place for the 10th person, and that is what Naveti dasamo asmiti. He does not know that Naveti dasamaha asmiti. I am the 10th person that I am looking for. He does know, because he is only counting all the 9 people there. Vichyamanopi. He is seeing himself in a way because he knows he is there. At the same time, api nava. There is no 9. There is only 9 people, and there is no 10th person here. So how does this apply? How is this relevant to us? So it is similar to, I am looking for Ananda all over the place without knowing the Ananda is coming from my own self. So that is essentially what I am not looking for the 10th man here. I am looking for Ananda. Everybody is looking for happiness only, but happiness where? Everywhere else where it is not there. So you count this, you count that, you count everything as this gives you happiness, that gives you happiness, but when it gets, it's only temporary relief, but again you are looking for some more, because what you are looking for is eternal, inexhaustible happiness that is not there in any pursuit, and that cannot be obtained by any pursuit also, yet you are still looking for it, and that's what is samsara is all about. So I am not looking for the 10th man here, is an illustration. I am looking for myself only. Why? Because what I am looking for Ananda, his happiness is coming from my own self, and it is the nature of myself. I am Satchidananda. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Therefore, Anantameva Anandam. And therefore, what I am looking for is only myself, because I love myself. I love myself is only because I love anything that gives happiness, and happiness comes from my own self. Even logically, happiness comes from my own self, but still I am looking for it. So this is what the ignorance is all about. So here, I know that there is a 10th person, because he is the one who is counting, and there are 9 people he is seeing, and he says there is no 10th person because he is not able to look himself as the 10th person. And that's what Naveti Dasamo Asmiti. Asmiti, I am the 10th person. Hinaveti Dasamaha. I am the 10th man, he does not know. So the ignorance of self-ignorance is a problem. Here self-ignorance that I am the 10th person that I am looking for is the ignorance. And therefore, Vikshamanaopi, even though he is seeing himself, even though he knows he exists, even though he is there to count everything else, at the same time he is not counting himself as the 10th person. And that is what is the essential. So the truth is right there, right in front, but at the same time one is still counting for it and crying for there is no 10th person, does not cross the ocean or river. So this example is essentially given to know that I am looking outside for the 10th person. So the looking for outside for Brahman is also objectification, and that's what is the theme here in terms of the analysis. So he goes into further details of this process in the next sloka, 24. Nabhati nasti dashama, nabhati nasti dashama, iti swam dasamantada, iti swam dasamantada, matva vyakti tadajnana, matva vyakti tadajnana, krutama avaranam viduhu, Krutamaavaranam viduhu. So here he is giving you summary of the process involved. Nabhati na bhati na asti dasamaha. Na asti. The 10th man is not there. Na bhati. He is not being recognized anywhere. So he is not there and he is not seen, and therefore there is no 10th man. So it's non-recognition, because the 10th man is not going to be coming from somewhere. It is there all the time. At the same time, he is not being recognized. And it's not just a recognition of 10th man as this is a 10th man. It is recognition that I am the 10th person. And that is essentially the covering of the self-ignorance is a problem. Self-ignorance is what? I am in this case, in the example, that I am the 10th person that I am looking for, because 9 is already there. So I am the 10th person that I am looking for, but I am looking for all over the place for myself, because I am the missing 10th man. So, but I don't recognize that, because na asti says there is no 10th man here. So nabhati na asti dasamaha. Iti swam dasamantada. Swam dashamam na asti na bhati. The I am the 10th man and I am the one that exists is not known. Matva vyakti tadajnanam krutamavaranam viduhu. So, iti matva. So having known this, vyakti, he says, that means having known that there is only there is no 10th man and I am is not being recognized that I am the 10th man. Iti matva, having known this, he says that there is no 10th man is missing. Vyakti, he says so. So tad, in such cases, ajnana krutam avaranam viduhu. So viduhu, the wise people say, what is the cause for the suffering here? The cause for the suffering is the pure ignorance. Ignorance of what? That I am the one I am searching for. That is the ignorance. So this is a fundamental ignorance. I am the one I am searching for myself all over the place. and you cannot find all over the place because the seeker himself is the sought. When the seeker and the sought himself, and any search is going to be fail miserably, because in the very search itself, seeker has decided that the sought is not there where the seeker is. That means I am looking for all over the place for myself. I am not there anywhere else there, and that is the whole problem. So I say it is not there. What is not there? Happiness is not there. Here we are not talking about the 10th person. This is only an example. So I am not there. What is not there? Happiness is not out there. Because anything that I get happiness, does not give me happiness, because it's always the happiness that I get outside is dukkha mishri tattvam. It is always three doshas are there. Fundamental doshas are there. Errors are there. What are the doshas? It is mixed with the dukkham, because you struggle in getting it, struggle in maintaining it, and struggle if you lose it. So you start hard work in getting that one and preserving the problem, and if you lose it, you start crying again. So that kind of happiness is dukkha mishritam. It's already mixed with the suffering, and it's not complete happiness, because in anything happiness there is always sorrow mixed with it. And it is asantruptikaram. The second problem is, first is it is mixed with the pain in getting, pain in preserving, pain in losing. And the second one is it is asantruptikaram. Asantruptikaram means you are not completely satisfied with it. I want it, you look for, long for it, and whatever, when you get what you want, you're still looking for some more, because you are not happy. Now I got what I want. Are you happy? Yes. Then, but I want some more. So there is a longing mind, or a wanting mind, or a desiring mind is not completely fulfilled with this want. So there is some other want. It's like pouring ghee into the fire to put out the fire. It becomes a more blazing, more desires, more longing, and it becomes a rat race. So because I want this, so I go run all over the world. For what? To get happiness where it is not there. That is a problem. Same way, 10th man, I am looking for all over the place where he is not there, because the one who is counting himself is the 10th man. So not knowing that, he is going to look, there is no 10th man, and therefore he is suffering. So the ajnanam, the ignorance of the presence of the 10th man, that he himself is the 10th man, and he himself what he is looking for, that ignorance contributes to this is ajnana krutam avaranam. Or means it projects something else. So ignorance is the fundamental problem. Then ignorance leads to avaranam. Avaranam means a projection. So if I don't know what it is, I will project something other than what it is. That is the avarana. A projection aspect comes into picture. Says, who says that? Viduhu. Vidu means wise people say. That's essentially what the scripture says. So he is leading from, first, ignorance is a problem, and ignorance doesn't, if it is completely ignorant, there is no problem. It's not complete ignorance, it is half ignorance. So half ignorance is really dangerous, because half knowledge and half ignorance becomes a problem, because now you know enough to make mistakes. I know about myself enough that I am going to commit mistakes. What are the mistakes I make? I know I am there, I know I am conscious entity, but I don't know that I am also happiness also. That because of that, I am going to commit all mistakes here. That's what is the avarana aspect. That means the projecting something what is not there, because I don't see what is there. And that's how the rope snake example comes into picture, just to illustrate where the ignorance of the rope, I am projecting snake there. So projection of the snake coming only because of the ignorance of the rope. If ignorance of the rope is not there, then there is no projection also. If it is complete ignorance, then there is no problem. If it is completely dark, then there is neither snake nor rope, I just walk through. And fortunately, if there is a snake, it won't bite me. But if it is completely lighted also, there is no problem. Problem comes only with the half knowledge. What is the half knowledge here? Half knowledge is, I know there is something there. I know it is about 5 feet long. I know it is lying in the middle of this one. And I know it is, when I step on it, it was soft. So I know certain things. There is. there is part is there, but at the same time, that is existence part is there, but at the same time, there is a rope, I don't know, I make it, there is something, and something is nothing but snake now. But snake goes away, now there is rope comes into picture when I see the truth. The same way, I am there, but I know I am existent, I am a conscious entity, but I do not know that I am also Ananda Swarupam, therefore I am looking all over the place for happiness only. But once I recognize that Anandam is nothing but Anantam, only because infinite alone gives a limitless happiness, otherwise there is always a limitation. Desakala Vastu Parichinnatvam. It is limited by space, limited by time, limited by the object wise. Then there is a never ending of solving a problem. You can never solve a problem. If it is never a problem, then even you don't even attend the problem. Because there is a solution to the problem, at the same time I am not able to get the solution only because I am trying to solve a problem in a wrong way, or I am trying to solve a problem where there is no really a problem to solve because you are already full by yourself. That is what the Vedanta tells you. So ignorance leads to projection, avarana. The ajnana leads to avarana. These are the stages of confusion and that's how we get confused into life after life. We are going through this process, and that's what being illustrated here. Says this ajnana krutam avaranam viduhu. So wise people say that because of the mula vidya, that is what is called a fundamental ignorance. What's a fundamental ignorance? I do not know myself. All Vedantins subscribe to this. Even Ramanuja also says avidya is a problem. But in his definition, the avidya that he talks about is the Jiva, Ishvara, Paramatma, dependent and independent. Seshaseshi Bhavam is the ajnanam. But ajnanam can only go by the grace of God, and that's how the Ivim Esha Gunamayi Mamamaya Durachyaya Mamivaye Prapadyanti, by surrendering to me only, because it's difficult to go otherwise. So there it's a surrenderance of what? Surrenderance of my ego completely. I had to surrender. I am independent of the Ishvara. That is the ego part there in the Visishtadvaita. Here, the identification, I am the local body, mind, intellect, is the one that I had to surrender, and that's what is essentially ajnanam is. And ajnanam contributes to avaranam, and avaranam contributes to dukkham, samsaram, and everything else that's being illustrated in the next. So taking the example of the 10th man story, in the 10th man story, he does not know that I am the 10th man, and he is 10th man asti, he does not know. There is no 10th man, and I cannot see. He is not able to recognize the 10th man, and he is crying, and everybody is taking their turns and counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and everybody is missing the 10th man because they are missing counting themselves. And that what is the ajnanam, and that ajnanam leads to avaranam. Avaranam is the covering of the truth. So ignorance covers the truth. The same thing happens when I go to dream state. What happens in the dream state? The Nidra Shakti covers the truth that I am a waker, sleeping in an air-conditioned room, and all the comforts, that is covered by the Nidra Shakti. The same way Maya Shakti covers. Maya Shakti is nothing but Ajnanam covers. So I have no knowledge of that I am a waker sleeping in the comfortable AC room, and I go into dream state where I may be dreaming that I am in the forest and so on and so forth, and in the blazing sun. Even though I am in the dark room, in the AC room, I am dreaming something different from my real status. Why? Because of the covering. Covering comes because of Nidra Shakti. Nidra Shakti is same as Maya Shakti, similar to Maya Shakti. There, Nidra Shakti covers my true nature, and therefore there is a projection that I am this occurs. So, scripture uses the dream example in the Mandukya Upanishad. illustrates this is the experience that you are going through every day, and therefore using the same experiences, it is similar to the same thing too in the waking state. So mattva vyakti tadajnanam krutam avaranam viduhu. So this, how does this 10th man story, what does this the avarana contribute? That means covering that I am the 10th man is covered now because of the ignorance, and now how does he suffer is going to illustrate here. Najyam mamara dashama, Najyam mamara dashama, iti sochan praroditi, iti sochan praroditi, ajnana kruta vikshepam, ajnana kruta vikshepam, rodanadim vidurbudhaha, rodanadim vidurbudhaha. Together. Najyam mamara dashama, iti sochan praroditi, ajnana kruta vikshepam, rodanadim vidurbudhaha. So Najyam mamara dashama. So the 10th man is drowned. Mamara, he died. Iti sochan prarodati. So everybody is counting only the 9 people and says Najyam mamara. He must have been drowned in the Najyam, in the river, because they crossed all the river, and before they started, they counted 10 people, and now when they count now, there are only 9 people. Therefore, the 10th one, Dashamaha Mamara, is drowned in the Najyam. It is Sochan Paroditi. This is Sochan. So with that Parodi, it is Sochan, thinking like that, they essentially, their Paroditi, their Rodhanam itself is crying. Paroditi is they are terribly crying or suffering because 10th man is drowned. Ajnana kruta vikshepam rodanadim vidurbudaha. So Ajnana kruta vikshepam, Ajnana avarana kruta vikshepam. Ajnana is covering the truth, and because of the covering, the mind projects therefore something vikshepam. Vikshepam means projection of something different from what it is. That's what vikshepam is. So how is it coming in? It's coming in by the ignorance covered. The mind is projecting the totality. So ajnana kruta. So ignorance covering the truth, but the mind with the ignorance projects something other than what it is, and that's where the example of rope snake also. So ajnana kruta vikshepam rodanadim vidurbuduhu. So here the ignorance of that I am the 10th man, and the 10th man is there, and 10th man is very, very present, and not knowing that, thinking that the 10th man is missing, and 10th man is drowned, and everybody is crying, and therefore rodanadim, that is called a vikshepam. That's called projection of something different from what it is. That's called vikshepam. Vidur buddhaha. This is called vikshepam. This is called buddhaha viduro. This way the wise people say this is what leads to the ignorance of oneself, gives you the projection of something that I am this, I am this, I am this. So this I am this itself is a fundamental problem. Whether you are Vedantin or not, this is a fundamental problem that should be recognized, because I am conscious entity and this is an unconscious entity. The very identification I am this, because I do not know who I am. So ignorance of myself is obviously evident in the very statement that I am this, and that's what is being called vikshepam. And that vikshepam contributes to rodhanam here in the case of 10th man, and in the case of the jiva, it contributes to the samsara. Okay, next sloka. Namruto dashamo stiti, namruto dashamo stiti, shruptapta vachanam tada, shruptapta vachanam tada, parokshatvena dashamam parokshatvena dashamam vetti swargadi lokavat vetti swargadi lokavat. Together, namruto dashamostiti sutvaptavachanam tada parokshatvena dashamam vetti swargadi lokavat. Now the I am, this is what they interpret the whole sloka is only to explain the word I am from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad statement. I am means this. How can he using this for the aparoksha that I am? And this is what the explanation is. Namruto dashamostiti. So a person is watching and these people are counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10th man is missing. The other fellow says, you don't know how to count, let me count. So he comes and then the other fellow is joining and he also counts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And he also says 10th man is missing. So each one take their turn and everybody is counting only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 10th man is missing, really missing. So this, and everybody is crying that 10th man is missing. And a Mahatma sitting there watching this tamasha, he says Namruto dasamo stiti. So out of compassion for these guys, he says, don't cry, because Namruto dasamahasti, the 10th man has not died. So this is called paroksha jnanam. Paroksha jnanam means indirectly there is the 10th man there. So Namruto dasamo stiti. The Dashamaha, the 10th person, Namrutaha, is not died. Asti, he is there, right here. Asti iti, Srutva, Aptavachanam tata. Having heard this by a dependable person, a person who is watching this out of compassion, an old man perhaps, he saw all this tamasha going, he comes there, you fellows don't cry, the 10th man is alive and it is here, not somewhere else, it's here. So he assures them and that it's a 10th man, an indirect knowledge that there is a 10th man. It doesn't say that I am the 10th man. The 10th man is alive. So they are happy with that statement. Why? Because Apta Vachanam. Apta Vachanam is this man is saying the 10th man is alive. So we don't see him. At the same time, we have the faith in the words of the 10th man. Why? Because there is no reason for him to come and lie unnecessarily. So it's called Apta Vachanam. A dependable person, a word of a dependable person, it says no need to cry, because what you're looking for is already there, is there. The 10th man that you're looking, crying for is not dead, he is alive. So Namruto Dashamaha Asti iti Srutva Apta Vachanam. So having heard, Srutva, having heard from a dependable person, Apta Vachanam tada, Parokshatvena Dashamam Veti. Parokshatvena. So now they know that indirectly, because they are not seeing the 10th man there, but they know that there is a 10th man. So this is called Paroksha Jnanam, indirect knowledge, because there is no direct experience of the 10th person right there. But depending upon the dependable person and who says that there is a 10th man and 10th man has crossed the river and he is alive and he is here, all that from that, because of his saying a faith in the words of the dependable person. Because the faith is important here. In the same way, faith in the scriptural statement or in the teacher as he interprets the scriptures, faith becomes, Shraddha becomes important. Shastasya Guru Vakyasya Satya Buddhyavadarana Sa Shraddha. So Shankara defines in the Viveka Chudamani, Shraddha is that Shastrasya, first comes Shastra, from that the scriptures and Guru Vakyasya, interpretation of the scripture, because this teacher is not telling from his own experience, hey, believe me because I experienced, therefore you believe. It's not that. Because the scripture says so, Shastrasya Guru Vakyasya Satya Buddhyavadarana. What he says is indeed true is because of that I should have a faith in the scripture and the teacher that is interpreting the scripture, and that's what is called Shraddha. And the Shraddha becomes an important for understanding the truth that is. So here the Shraddha is in the listening to a Apta Vakyam of the person who says there is a 10th man and he has crossed the river and he is right here. So 10th man is not dead. So there is no need for you to cry. So this is right now an indirect knowledge called Parokshatvena Dasamam Veti. Though indirectly everybody knows that there is a 10th man. Swargadi Lokavatu. In the same way that we know, this is only 10th man story, from our point we know there is a Swargadi Lokavatu. Swargadi Loka means you are crying unnecessarily where there is no reason for you to cry. Now so Krishna starts the Bhagavad Gita. Asocyan anvasochatvam prajnavadam sabhashase gatasuna gatasumcha na anusochanti panditaha. There is no reason for you to cry because you are crying unnecessarily that this Bhishma is going to be killed, or this the Dronacharya is going to be killed, or these cousins are going to be killed. They will not be anymore because you are crying where there is no reason, because they never go anywhere. Natve vaham jatanasam natvam neme janadipaha najaiva nabhavishyamaha sarve vayam atah param. There is never a time I was not there, never a time you were not there, there was never a time all these kings are there. There is no death for anybody. So there is no reason for you to cry. Only death is this leaving this body, because this has become useless for experiencing the new set of experiences, and he has to go to a different lokas, and it can be Swarga Adi Lokavatu. In the case of heavens and all that, he may be going to experience in fact better world than what is here. So here a lot of miserable here, so he goes to a better world to experience Swarga Adi Lokavatu. So therefore there is no reason for you to cry. Therefore you are crying where asocyan anvasochatvam. There is no reason for you to cry at all. So same way, this is indirect knowledge, because it refers to there is an existence of better world than this, and that itself is a soothing for many. And many religions in fact only say he is miserable here, you go to heaven, everything will be all right. So how do you go to heaven? You follow my religion, then you go to heaven. If you go to other religions, you won't go, you go there, you don't go there. So that is the type of teaching comes, because I am going to be happy there. That is the understanding of those religions. But anyway, here this is called Paroksha Jnanam, comes from which I stop crying for the temporarily until I discover the 10th man. We'll go back again after we come back in the next talk, how this Ajnana, this is ignorance. Ignorance leads to the avarana, covering of the truth, and that will lead to Vikshepa. These are the stages that are being discussed here, and here the Vidyaranya is giving one by one, and he comes up to 7 stages of the evolution of in the self-realization. This we stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Visishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.